of the Lamb came. And that is the gamos. It's the singular of the Lord, of the Lamb came. And his wife, or that is the woman of him, which they would say the bride of him, prepares herself. And it was given her that she should be clothed in fine linen, bright and pure. But what is this fine linen, you may say? For the fine linen represents the righteous acts of the saints. But keep reading. And he says to me, write, blessed are those who have been invited to the marriage supper, the gamos of the Lamb. What is that word for supper? If you look on the left side of your margin, it's deipnon. Not ariston, but deipnon. And therefore, the righteous acts are the righteous acts that then therefore count as righteous acts now and in day 7 collectively in order to enter into this deipnon over here. So that hopefully answers your question as to how this guy could be out of darkness, because he came into the ariston but didn't have the ongoing righteous acts to enter into the deipnon. He has no wedding garment sewn. Hence the term, where's your garment? He got there because he had an initial garment that he was given, or that he had initially had. But he had to continue to keep it spotless. Either he was given a garment as a teknon or a mikros, or he had sewn a garment by his righteous acts. Either way, he had to continue keeping that garment spotless, equivalent to ongoing righteous acts. And because he didn't do that, he's thrust into outer darkness. You are most unworthy, if you will. Yes?
Vicky says, so this verse is connected to Matthew 22:19 or 22, and Pam said 19.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct. So now when you go back to Matthew 22:13, Matthew 25:30 about the outer darkness, there's those mentionings in the paper on page 21. Revelation 22, verse 11 and 14. Let me show you this. Revelation 22, verses 11 through 14. He says, Revelation 22, let the unjust one act unjustly still. Let the filthy be filthy still. Let the righteous work righteousness still. And let the holy be holy still. Behold, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, to give to each one as his work is. And I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Now, verse 14. Blessed are those who wash their robes. Who wash their robes. Keep them clean. So that their right may be to the wood of life, or the tree of life, Christ himself. And they may enter by the gates into the city. The import of verse 14 means that if you don't wash your robe, then you can't go in. I mean, come on. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. If I say the requirement is to wash your robe, that would mean the disqualification is if I didn't. That's like saying no shirt, no shoes, no service. That means if you have your shoes and your shirt, then you get service. Does it say that on the sign? Really? Like you can't deduce the negative understanding of what that means? Same as this. If he says wash your robe, then that means if you didn't wash your robe, then you will not have a right to the tree of life and enter the gates of the city. Hence the aspect of these people here. And day 8, when they are cast out, that's these people here. So you want to take, this is Revelation 22:14. So they have not washed their robe. It's that simple.
And I wonder, it gets spotted every time you lean to your own understanding.
That's right. It gets spotted now, but the dangerous part, here's the crazy part of all time. Because God gives us a clean robe when you go in, when you enter. So like, why won't you just and that's why the parables, the 4 unique parables, dictate, well, how could you go in made sinless and then become a dillweed again and get soiled on your garment? That's the 4 unique parables talk about how to prevent that. Don't be like the person in Matthew. That's one of the 4 unique parables I talk about. Don't be presumptuous. Don't be callous. All those things he talks about. Don't get ahead of God. And don't think that you're finished. Always be stretching out and reaching out. Don't get satisfied and satiated with, I'm content where I'm at. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yes?
What constitutes not washing robe?
Not going on in faith and trusting in God. Not moving on in faith, meaning not, in other words, resisting, not moving on in faith, defined as not moving on and seeing what God says, agreeing with God about your sin, about being sanctified, reconciled, and continuing to have your mind and heart be changed by what He shows you. That's going on in faith, trusting what His Word says. That's what faith means, believing His Word, just His Word. So not going on in faith is part of having not ongoing washing your robes, which what that looks like when you're made sinless is continue to look for ways, like Job. Remember the story of Job was about he woke up every morning and said for 5 months he was under the duress, but for 20 years he'd wake up and look for the widows and orphans to go help. Are you kidding me? Every day, he says, he woke up. We studied that for 9 months, if you remember. And the verses dictate, God said that Job would wake up every day and look for widows and orphans who he can help. Who does that? Because he was so grateful for what God had given him. He was wealthy, spiritually and monetarily. So he was looking for ways to help other people, to educate, to equip. That's why Elihu was so touched by the fact that he was like his mentor, father figure. That's why he waited to the very end to explode on him. Like, are you kidding me? You're letting me down here. This is not you. Would you be the you that I know? This is not you, man. And so that's why he spoke at the end. But the point is, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And so washing your robes means you're looking for ways, as a made sinless person in day 7, as a person who's a memtos and a piplos and a poliptos, these things here, or these things, these are going to be, they're guaranteed to have a spot. But when you're put in this position, or memtos and a poliptos, you're made sinless, you're supposed to be like Job, looking for ways to help people. Help who people where? On the earth. When God calls you to go and serve on the earth, because they're going to be like Jacob's ladder, the angels went to and fro, remember? That was a picture of us going to and fro. We'll be in heaven, but you're going to go down on the earth. And may last 3 years on the earth, but it's only a half an hour in heaven. But because you're ministering to people, and you go back and you do your deal. So you have to, and also to each other. The teleotes people are supposed to help the teleoses people, those who want to learn. Because of the foolish virgins, there's some who come to repentance, but only 2, only the minority, not the majority. So there are people that can be helped. And so the ongoing washing of the robes speaks to, again, continuing to trust in God, at His Word, what it says, and looking for ways to obey Him. Don't get satiated with just saying, you know what, I'm here, so I can, I'm going to get lazy. Because you can get lazy. You can get lazy in heaven. Oh, yeah, you can. You say, no, you can't. Okay, explain to me this. If you can't get lazy, then how did Ezekiel, I'll show you this again. It bears mind to mention. It's been a while. You're bringing this up. So how did Ezekiel 14, is it 14? I always get these two mistaken. Hold on a minute here. Is it 14? No, 28. Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28 in verse 15. When he was perfect, the anointed cherub, when he was created, till iniquity was found in him, and by the multitude abundance of his merchandise, he had filled the midst of them with violence. Excuse me, stop. Wait, Lord, excuse me, wait, pardon me. Pardon me, Lord, pardon me, Lord. You just mentioned heaven about the anointed cherub in Ezekiel 28. And in verse 16, you said he made merchandise of people. How? How can he make merchandise of angels, of angelic hosts, to come follow him? Unless what? Unless what I just told you is true. They stopped believing God's word. They stopped looking for ways to obey God. And they were open to the suggestion of Dillweed, the anointed cherub that covereth, which, by the way, is a brilliant angel that's now fallen. And so I say that in jest, the fact that this guy says, come with me. We can take him. Really? Your creation. He's creator. There's no opposite of him. I hate it when Christianity goes, opposite of God is Satan. No, it's not. Opposite of God is nothing. Nothing can contrast and compare to him. Nothing. You can't contrast a creation with the creator. So the creator has no opposite. There is no opposition. There's no, difference of God is this. Light is dark and day is night, and therefore God and Satan. No, no, no. Opposite of God is nothing. Zero. Nothing can be as opposer. And so therefore it's interesting to see in verse 16, and the way it's in the Hebrew, when he says, by the multitude of thy merchandise thou hast filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as a profane out of the mountain of God, and will destroy thee, O covering cherub. And it means, again, the word violence there is oppression of truth, and the word merchandise is that he transacted business with the other angelic host, which means he gave them a pot of lies. But how could they be sinless and be persuaded? How? Please explain that to me. For those who say there could be no sin in heaven. Well, you know what? There was here. But it was dealt with, to your point. It was, you see later. But the real question is, if this isn't the one guy, the one creation, okay, what about the other angels? How did he convince them, apparently, to come with him? How did he oppress the truth and get them to go, he makes sense, man. He makes sense. How? Unless they did not continue on in God's word, like I mentioned, they didn't maintain an anapoleptos, amemptos, blamelessness and offensive to God. In order to do that, you have to continue to find ways to serve him. You have to look for ways to serve him volitionally. Volitionally. That's what Job was about, volitionally. So God ordains things, but then you have to be in that mindset of always looking for ways to give thanks back and service back to God as you're trusting in every word he says. And they didn't do that. If they were doing that, how could he possibly go, hey, we can take him? What? You're crazy. There's no...
Just a new idea, though, that he had, Satan.
Well,
That idea must have been there for quite some time.
well, no, it was a new idea. It can't be for...
Really?
Yeah, because as soon as the idea was found in him, he was cast out. It says as soon as iniquity... It says as soon as iniquity was found in you. It says from the day they were created until iniquity was found in you. So he wasn't cast out until that moment, to your point. So it didn't exist. It didn't persist. Oh, heck no. Sin can't persist in heaven. As soon as he had the idea of, I want to go against God's word, then he's like, you got to go. You're out. And that's why if you get involved in sin in day 7 in the heavens, then you're out right away. But that's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case. They're not going to be involved in sin as much as they are just presuming upon God. Because their mind, they're not sinning. They're just presuming upon, they're just going, hey, I'm not sinning. I'm not sinning. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just thinking that I'm comfortable. Why are you so busy working, Nancy? I'm like, what are you busy working for?
Sense of omission.
Yeah, I'm like, we're good. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about the great quantity of
And so, and you say, and they say things like, did you go down to the earth and do service when God told you to? Yeah, I did that. And then, okay, what are you doing now? I'm resting again. I'm good. I'm enjoying this Ariston feast. But what did you learn from that? That those people are less fortunate than us. We're good, man. This is awesome, isn't it? Yeah, but you don't understand. You're supposed to take from what God just gave you opportunity to show you the contrast. What did you gain from that? Does it really matter? We're here, they're there. Oh my gosh, really? That's your attitude, Jimmy Crackhorn? I don't care. You don't have a sense of reflection and gratitude, and God had you interact with those people for a reason. So what did you gain from that? Nothing to gain. I'm sinless, man. Okay, watch what happens to you. You're going to have all this presumption that nothing was supposed to be gained from that. You didn't take any insight and inventory as to what did God do with that. God doesn't force that on you. That's ordained, but he doesn't force on you how to think. He's ordained it, but you have to be the one who decides, how am I going to look back at that and decide how I see the benefit and blessing and the purpose behind what God just did in my life? Why did he have me go to the earth and then come back and witness to those people and talk to those folks? What was that all about? And then the teleoc person is like, whatever.
Well, there's vanity there too.
There is vanity.
Yeah, I think about, you got your thanksgiving, your praising, and your singing. I mean, the outer court, the inner court, and the holy of holies. If
Yeah.
you're not in all things giving thanks, guess what? You're outside, and guess what? There's vanity waiting for you.
It's true. It's true. What you just said is perfectly true. It's true. I feel like I'm not saying I'm there. I'm in that place where I should be. It scares me because I want to be always thankful and grateful, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I've accomplished that. Yes. Sorry.
Tracy said mountain of God means heaven or the highest heaven, the throne room.
Yeah. There's the holy mountain of God speaks to the highest heaven. So the mountain of God speaks to the heavenlies itself, and the holy mountain of God speaks to the throne room. Go back to your chart. See see chart 3, I think it is, or 2, our retirement home. And on the bottom of that chart, I put on there the mountain of God is the mountain of God is the general, and then the mountain of God, the holy mountain of God, is the more specific to your point. It's on at the bottom, right here. Yeah, see. So the tabernacle is the Tamion storehouse. Day 7 is the mountain of God. The holy mountain of God represents the established tabernacle of God. So the mountain of God represents like a tabernacle experience, a lower level of general phrasing. Temple's more permanent, and it has the more holy of holy gods dwelling with them permanently. So it represents the highest peak. So that's what that's talking about. All right. So anyway, I got off track with that. So going back to this paragraph on page 21, as we're almost done with this session because it's just past 12:30. Last part of this paragraph, we'll finish. The teleosis noniskos person that are on the earth during the start of the 70-year peace treaty will endure the first half of tribulation and will be raptured out in wave 3, right after the Tritos seal number 4 is broken and the lawless one is revealed on the black horse, as the Antichrist then rises up as the beast. Ouch. Okay, so we're going to continue on page 21 and finish out with the teleotis person on Friday of this coming week. Unless, actually, excuse me, my apology, that I stand corrected. This Friday is our first Friday of the month, which means it's Q&A Friday. So we're going to do Q&A this Friday. So we will not do, we'll do the continuation of this on Sunday, which should be fun with our guest. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know, right? I hope they don't show up. So,
Who is this guest?
it's our family. I don't mean that in a I mean in the sense, sorry, Lord, you know what I mean. What I mean is I don't want them to be, confused or us to be kind of like, it's just a big, and concern for just the holistic sense of it. If God does put it in me, I hope that there's a good mindset and good heart about it. But if it's not, then I'd rather not.
Pam said same guess as last time.
Yep.
Yes.
So, but we will know. Hopefully, if they're in the right mindset, that's fantastic. And if
He
not,
said,
then
oh boy.
then if not, we don't know. So let's close and pray, and then we'll end our session. So Father, thank you for again this opportunity we have today. Thank you for your provision and sustained will and grace and love in our lives. Thank you for showing us continually truth. Help us to apply to our lives and be changed by it. We are grateful for what you've given to us about you and showing us about your word. In Jesus, Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. So don't forget, Friday will be Q&A Friday, which means this Sunday coming up will be the Communion Sunday. So we'll have communion this next Sunday, and then we'll have our Q&A this Friday. So get your questions, email, text, or just whatever. Ask them that night.
Pam said, was that a full year ago already?
I know, right? I know, right? And just so again, and again to remind you, we'll pick up, we're on page 21, we pick up in the last half of that. So again, to remind you also is that